Hi, I would like to welcome everyone to the Swiss Challenge Q&A 2015. My name is Marnie, and I will be your facilitator for today. I am a Girl Scout volunteer from the USA who is lucky enough to go to Our Chalet in January for Rover Week. So let's meet our speakers for today from the lovely Our Chalet. Jen is from Finland and has been at Our Chalet in bits and pieces since 2007. She is currently the Deputy World Center Manager of Program. Jen manages the program department, which includes event planning, managing the volunteer experience, and adding a lot of fun to everything that happens at Our Chalet. In her free time, Jen loves to explore the mountains, play the harmonica, and learn new songs from around the world. She is a member of the local Adelboden choir, which sings songs in many languages, including Swiss German, and has taught her how to yodel. All right, Nikki is the Deputy World Center Manager for Operations at Our Chalet. She is responsible for marketing, guest services, maintenance, and catering. She is from the UK and has been at Our Chalet for 4 months. Nikki has been guiding since she was 7. She and her husband both play brass instruments and play for the Salvation Army Band in Adelboden as well as the brass band in Frutigen. Tanya is the World Center Manager and is from the USA. She has been at Our Chalet since June of 2013. As a lifetime member of the Girl Scouts of the USA, she grew up attending camps and traveling with her Girl Scout troop. This ignited a passion for the organization, which she likes to share with as many people as possible. In her free time, she enjoys reading, hiking, snowshoeing, and cross-country skiing. Tanya is also a member of the Adelboden choir. So we have some pretty musical people with us today. Anyway, I'll turn it over to them.
So this is Tanya, and I just wanted to start by thanking you guys and saying it was hard for us to come up with explanations about ourselves, so we had to help each other write those. But I want to thank all of you for planning a trip to Our Chalet and taking it upon yourselves to lead groups here. Without adults like you, girls wouldn't have this experience, and it really can change their lives. And so kudos to you and thank you. Also want to wish you a happy International Women's Day. And like I was saying earlier, we have a great video on our Facebook page that the staff here made over the last few days to celebrate being a girl, being a woman. And so check that out, and it'd be fun for your girls to watch as well. So with that, we have the Deputy World Center Managers will be doing most of the presentation tonight because as you will find out when you come to visit, they're the ones that keep this place running, and so they have all the answers. And so I'm going to turn it over to Nikki to get us started once the presentation is up.
Okay, that's great. So this covers the events in the summer, the Swiss Challenges. And if we could go to the next page, please, Marnie. Yeah, thank you. So this is about your transportation and your methods of getting to Our Chalet. The arrival airports are a range of airports, basically. You've got Zurich, Geneva, Bern, Basel, and Milan. And all of them take between 2 and 4 hours to get from there to the chalet itself. The easiest method of getting here is to take public transport. So that would be a train from your arrival airport to Frutigen. And certainly if you were to fly into Zurich or Geneva, you would change trains at Bern. And then when you get to Frutigen, the bus will be sat outside the train station waiting for you, and it will bring you to Adelboden Oi, where our van will come down and collect your luggage, and there'll be a volunteer to walk you up the hill. If for any reason you don't wish to walk up the hill or you are unable to, then you can book a taxi, and the details for that are on our website. Train travel here in Switzerland is really easy. They make it very simple. So there you will see an online link to the Swiss website for the trains, which has a very helpful timetable in English and gives you not only the times but the platforms, which means you can work out where you need to get to quite quickly, because often the changeover time isn't vast, but it gives you ample time to get you and your girls to the right platform. And we work very closely with a partner company called the Switzerland Travel Centre, which are based in London. They're really helpful and useful. They run the Swiss and Guide transfer tickets, and they also offer Bernese Overland passes, which can be used on your free days to go somewhere if you wish. And they also offer buses from the arrival airport to here, which they can advise you on what's the cheapest option and what's the best option for you as a group, dependent on your numbers and your arrival time. So they're a really good group of people to get in touch with, and on the slide there you can see their email address and their telephone number. Next slide, I think, please, Marnie. Guest services. So this is quite self-explanatory. It explains what's available here at the chalet from a guest services point of view. I'm going to allow you to read most of the slide for yourself, but the important parts are the reception, which will be open when your group arrives here, and the leader in charge will be able to check in at reception and sort out bill payments or ask questions. And reception's open between 8 and 9 every morning and after program, and the details of that will be in reception for you to see. We also have a shop which will be open whenever reception is open, which has a range of snacks, souvenirs, postcards and stamps, so you'll be able to send postcards back to the US. It also details on this slide details about the washing facilities here for your clothes should you need that, and also the internet prices.
Nikki, we had a question come in. Would it be through the Swiss Travel Center that you get the discounted train tickets?
Yes, it would, yes. They would advise you on how to do that and work out which was the best train pass or transfer ticket for you as a group.
Cool.
Okay, so the meals slide is up next. Meals here start with breakfast, which are served in our dining hall in the main chalet, and they are from 8 a.m. till 8:45. It's a self-service, so it's just laid out on a table and you help yourself. There's a range of cereals and yogurt, cheese, toast, bread, juice, tea, coffee. There's sort of standard breakfast things. And during breakfast, you will have packed lunch will be laid out, and you'll be able to make your own packed lunch. You also get that on your free day and on your departure day. So there'll be facilities there to get those packed up for yourself. And then dinner in the evening is at 6:30. They're a family-style dinner, so it's everyone sits down together to eat. And we can cater to various dietary requirements. We just request that you put those onto your passenger manifests and return those to us at least 4 weeks ahead of your arrival time. Meals here for dinner are 2 courses and are a range of Swiss and international food. So items such as spaghetti bolognese, sweet and sour, alpine macaroni, rosti, that kind of thing. We have a range over the week that you'll be with us. So I'll pass on to Jen now. Thank you.
Okay. One moment, please. Let me have Jen's mic here. We also had a question, and it may have been on the slide, but I missed it. How much is the internet?
It ranges in price. It was on the slide, I think, but it's 3 francs, 5 francs, and 10, depending on how long you have it. But you can only log in on a device once, so if you have an hour, you need to stay logged on for that hour.
Cool.
It doesn't allow you to re-sign in with the same login code.
Great. Oh, we also had one other question about meals, which is what is trefoil style? I do believe I saw that on the slide.
Okay, that's to do with we all sit down together, and then there's a trefoil basically which designates the server and that person will help with the serving of dinner and the moving of it from the hatch to the table and so on.
Yeah, it's kind of like capers, but it's a bit unexpected in the fact that like everyone has to do it, but whose turn is it this day? It's no big deal from experience.
Yeah.
Okay, well we can pass it on over. I think those are all the questions we kind of have about that at this time, and we'll go ahead and pass it on over to Jen to talk to us a little bit about event program.
All right, thank you very much. So this is Jen speaking, and I will just cover what kind of program activities we have planned for your time here at the chalet. So I'm just going to cover what the different activities are and how you are best going to prepare for them, what kind of equipment you need for them, and what kind of paperwork we need from you before to make it happen. So first of all, we've got 6 program days planned for you. So we usually start with an on-site day, and then you have 2 bus excursion days to nearby cities. Then there are 2 adventure days and 1 extra hike day on top of all of that. And before we can take you up in the mountains, we are going to need to ask you to sign an Alpine Activities Declaration form, which is something we will be emailing to you towards the start of April, along with a lot more information about your program package. So you can stay tuned for that email. And that declaration form is something that where you just say that you are going to be a responsible leader, you're going to make sure that your group brings the necessary equipment, and that they will follow our lead when we go up in the mountains as well. And also, if you have any medical conditions or anything like that that you think we should be aware of before you come, that would be great to add to your passenger manifest. So those would be the 2 very important pieces of paperwork we need before you get here. Then I also have a point about the weather here. So we are going to decide what program days we would like to do when with you guys before you come, but the weather changes here quite fast. So please bear in mind that we can't give you the exact 100% sure program before you get here, because we want to be able to be a little bit flexible in case the weather changes dramatically. And then if we move on to the next slide, that would be about the equipment and how to be prepared for all of those different weather changes as well.
Sure. Jen, we did have one question that came in that we may want to talk about now, which is what if one member of the troop decides that they don't want to participate in an activity and just wants to hang out at the chalet for the day? What is the policy for that?
Okay, that's quite possible as well. They are welcome to do that. We just need to be sure that if it's a child that is staying behind from the activities, we need an adult or a leader to stay with them, because we're not able to take responsibility of an underage person without their leader. Does that cover that question?
Yep, that absolutely does.
So I think we'll move on to... All right, we'll move on to equipment. So to prepare for all the activities and the weather changes, the best place to check the equipment list would be our website. So if you go to the Our Chalet webpage and then to the Visit Us section, and prior to arrival, you'll find a packing list, a suggested packing list for the summer that details all the different things that we think would be useful to have with you. But definitely, before you go out on a program day in the mountains, everybody will need to bring in their own backpack the following bits that I've listed on the slide there. So you'll need to be protected from the mountain sun. You need to be protected from the rain and the cold. So you'll need some sensible clothing. We don't want anyone hiking in jeans. You'll want something that dries quickly and is really comfortable if you get a little sweaty when you're hiking, for example. You will need good and well-worn in hiking shoes or boots. If you want to do some of the more challenging hikes, so if you want to get to the top of a mountain, for example, you will probably want to have hiking boots that have good ankle support as well, as some of the paths can be quite slippery and uneven as well. Then it it tends to rain quite often in the summer. We get little showers, so it's definitely worth it having good waterproof clothing, and that would be both a jacket and some waterproof trousers as well. And warm clothing. Temperatures can range from about 10 to 25 degrees Celsius. I think that's something from 50 to 70, 80 degrees Fahrenheit. So you'll need to be prepared for all of that. So bring some extra layers with you as well. Then to protect from the mountain sun, you will need sunscreen and sun hat, and certainly sunglasses would be a good addition to that list. And then, as Nikki mentioned, you will be packing your lunch for most of the program days. So if you have a lunch box or something you can wrap your lunch in, that would be great. And then, as it's quite a physically active week, water is definitely very important. So you'll need to be prepared with a big water bottle. And I think 2 liters would be ideal. That would cover you on all of the program days that we do. And then leaders are, of course, in charge of the first aid and the medicating of their group, so they would need to bring good first aid kits and medication with them. And it's maybe worth bearing in mind that if your group plans to split up for some activities, so you have some choices during some program days, you need to make sure that all the parts of your group have a leader with a first aid kit with them before they go. Okay. And then I think we'll move on.
Sure, I'm just checking a couple of the questions that are coming in. And one of them is related, I know, coming from the United States about insects. Do we need to bring insect repellent?
Good point. It would not hurt to bring some insect repellent. We don't usually have a big problem with them. There are not too many mosquitoes around, but certainly on the hotter days, the horseflies sometimes go a bit wild, and it would be quite useful to have a little bit of insect repellent as well. Okay, then if we just talk through all of the different program days really quick, or actually I won't talk too much about them. You can just have a look at what kind of activities we have planned. So usually we start our week with the on-site day, which is a great day to get a little bit of rest. You will be spending the day on site at Our Chalet. You'll be getting to know the other groups, but it's not too physically demanding. You won't be hiking very much on the first day. So if you come from really far away, it gives you that chance to get over that jet lag as well. And then shall we move on to the next day?
We do have a question about hiking, and if you don't have the 100% of the clothing, would you be not allowed to attend the hikes?
So we have quite a good selection of some donated items here at Our Chalet as well that groups and guests have left behind when they've left the chalet. So if you forget something, if you, for example, forget your waterproof trousers, we do have some here available for you to borrow. There are a few things that are definitely necessary to have. For example, the shoes, we can't let anyone go on a hike in flip-flops, for example, for obvious reasons. So the things that affect your safety, we will definitely not let people go in clothes that we feel puts them at risk. But if it's more a question of you may not have exactly the same kind of equipment that we've listed in the packing list, then that's definitely not a problem. Did you have any other equipment questions?
No, I don't think so. We did have a question about can a novice hiker participate even if they may not have a ton of experience on some of the hikes that you're mentioning?
Yes. So I would say our program is pretty well adjustable for all different hiking levels, but you do need a certain level of physical fitness to be able to do them, just because some of them may not be very demanding. Most of them are actually on paved roads, but we are in the mountains, so there is a fair bit of going up and down hills, and sometimes the hikes that we do are a little bit long. So I think the day that demands the least hiking is about an hour each way. So you will need to still be prepared physically to be physically active for pretty much the whole day, because then in addition to that hiking, you might be trying things like doing the adventure park and climbing wall a little bit. But there are alternative routes to most of our program days, and we can usually adjust the pace to everyone so that it's comfortable. But I would definitely recommend doing some activity, having a bit of an exercise routine before you get to the chalet.
Absolutely. And I will say that I was lucky enough to be at Our Chalet in January. And I never felt that like the hikes were a challenge. I will admit that, but I never felt that they were impossible. And I would say that the chalet staff is amazing at making things possible, but you have to put the effort into it.
Right.
Yep. Okay. So I think we've kind of wrapped up those questions at this point, so we can move on.
Okay, then I'm going to talk about the two different excursion days, bus excursion days that we have. So these are days where actually we will need all the groups to make a decision before you get to the chalet. And I'm going to send out more information about the decision you need to make in the April pre-arrival information email. But I'll just quickly mention what the choices will be. So on the Toon day, we will in the morning all take the bus together to a mountain called Niesen, and then we will catch a funicular train up to the peak. So it gives you a really, really good view of the surroundings. You're really high up at that point already. And then in the afternoon, after lunch, you will have the choice of either catching the boat across a beautiful blue lake to a village called Oberhofen, where there is a pretty magical fairy tale style castle that you will get to explore for the afternoon. Or the other option would be also catching the boat across the lake, but you would continue a couple more stops to the center of Thun, which is a Swiss city that's from sort of medieval style and really pretty as well. So that would give you a bit more time to shop and check out the center of that city. So that's a choice that we will ask you to make before you get to Our Chalet, and then the next slide will tell you about the next option. So our second excursion day starts a bit similarly, so we will all get on the bus together and drive to a city called Interlaken, and we will all visit to a Swiss chocolatier called Schuh together. And they have a chocolate show prepared for us, so everybody gets to learn a little bit about Swiss chocolate making, the traditions of how they've been making chocolate here forever. And the girls will also usually get to try a little bit of chocolate making and definitely sample some as well. So that's a really good start for the day. And then in the afternoon, after lunch, they will have the option of either visiting the Trümmelbach waterfalls, which are glacial waterfalls that have sort of carved their way through the mountain. So there's this rushing water in tunnels inside the mountain that's actually really exciting, makes the ground shake almost. And then after that, you will have a little bit of time to explore the town of Interlaken and potentially also do some souvenir shopping. That's definitely the city for Swiss army knives and watches and that kind of thing. And then the other option would be going whitewater rafting on a nearby river. So we have a supplier that takes you on the Lütschine River, and they provide all the equipment that you might need for rafting. So everything, the girls will only need to be wearing their swimsuits, and the rest the rafting company will provide, and that includes helmets and water shoes and all of that. And I think we're ready to move to the next slide.
Sure. And while we do that, we've been talking about visiting towns and things. We had a question come in about money and what is the best form of money to use and that sort of thing.
That's a good question. I would almost recommend making sure you have some cash with you. Switzerland still very much operates in cash. And they often add a surcharge on any card payments, or there may be a minimum limit for credit card payments. So it's good to have some Swiss francs with you, and Swiss franc is the currency here, and most shops don't accept any other kinds of money. And the same goes for Our Chalet. We only take Swiss francs. We do also take credit cards and most usual cards, but we add a 3% charge on the card payments.
Cool. We also had one more. So when we're talking about maybe visiting Interlaken or going on the water hike, can our group split, or do we all have to do the same activity?
Yes. So all the groups are allowed to split. We just need to know that preferably well ahead of time, just so we know to contact our suppliers. So you can split, but the only thing you need to make sure is that we need a leader to go with each part of the group. So girls cannot go alone without a leader. So you can't send 3 girls rafting and all the leaders go to the waterfalls, for example. But yes, otherwise it's absolutely fine.
Cool.
Okay, shall I move on with the days then?
Yeah, is there an age requirement to do some of these, like what we would consider more high adventure activities like the rafting?
There is no age limit for the rafting at the moment. The age limit for the Swiss Challenge package is 12, and everybody is able to go rafting at the moment. Otherwise, there are no other age limits for the high adventure programs, but only for the overnight hike, which I will talk about a little later. We do require the participants to be at least 14 years old.
Awesome.
All right. So if we move on to the high adventure things that we mentioned, here's just a slide about a snapshot of what might happen on one of the adventure days. So that's a day when the girls get to try the local adventure park and go rock climbing as well. And if they're super extra adventurous, they can also try the pendulum swing, which is where you swing off a bridge and do a pendulum under it. But that's not included in the package, so they would need to just bring an extra 20 Swiss francs in cash if they are planning to do that. And then I think we can check out the second adventure day. Okay. So the other adventure day is where we hike from our chalet to the opposite side of the valley to the woodcarvers. And that's something we've been doing since 1945. We've got a really good relation with that little shop, and they have some really lovely souvenirs. So that's a good day to have a little bit of cash with you. And then the neighbors make really good lemon cake. And then the adventurous part of that day is the abseiling, or I think known as rappelling for many of you. So we have 2 abseils. One of them is 15 meters and one is 30 meters into the Holleren Gorge, which is just next to the woodcarvers. Lots of rushing water everywhere. It's very, very exciting. And then at the end of that day, we will all walk back to our chalet. And then if we check out our hike day, so the final program day is called the Elsigen Day, named by the mountain that we will go and hike. So this is a day where you have a lot of different options, optional routes, some of them more challenging and some a little less challenging, but everybody will meet up by a mountain lake and have lunch together. And then also for the afternoon, you have a couple of different options. You can go check out another natural lake, or you can even hike to the peak of the mountain. So a little bit of something for everybody. And I think that brings us to the end of our program days, and we will move on to the evening programs. So we've got, I think, 7 different evening programs for you. They usually run from 8 to 9, and sometimes different groups will join in for the evening programs as well. So that may be a good chance to get to know people from all over the world. So we always start you off with an Our Chalet tour and orientation, just to give you a bit of an idea of where you are, where to find things. Then we have a Swiss night, and then an international festival. And that's something that we ask all the groups to participate in ahead of time a little bit. So if you could prepare a presentation of about 5 to 10 minutes about your country, your region, your state, can be about your troop. And it can be pretty much anything at all. Often people bring some swaps or a little bit of snacks or something like that for other people to try. But it's just good to bear in mind that we will usually do it outdoors, so we're not able to organize screens and computers and that kind of thing. But it could be a skit or a dance or or a few or a quiz or anything about where you are from. Then we have a twilight hike, which takes you to a beautiful little valley behind the chalet that's often kind of hidden. People don't necessarily go to otherwise. And there's some really pretty waterfalls that look lovely in the twilight lighting. We also have a wax night. That always depends on the most current campaigns and activities that wax has, so we'll leave that a bit of a surprise. And then we have a games night where you play. We usually play team building kind of games all over the chalet site, so that really gets the girls to interact and get to know people from the other groups as well. And then we tend to finish off with a closing ceremony and campfire. And also for the campfire, everybody is invited to bring their songs and favorite campfire skits and stories.
Do you have to pre-register for the twilight hike or for the overnight hike?
Right. You don't have to pre-register, so that's something we want to even leave open until we meet everybody, and just want to make sure everybody knows what they've signed up for. So we want everybody to do a little bit of hiking before they decide about the overnight hike. I think actually the next slide might be about the overnight hike. Shall we have a look? Yes. So for our definitely most strenuous and most challenging program activity, we have an overnight hike, which is where we start at 7:30 in the evening usually. We've got about an hour and a half to hike to a local cheesemaker's hut, and then we'll sleep overnight above his cows and just enjoy the sound of cowbells and cows mooing and whatnot. Usually you do manage to get a few hours of sleep. It's pretty comfortable. But then we will wake you up at about 2:30 to hike up to the peak of Bonderspitz, which is the highest point that you will be able to reach on this program week. So at night time you get up in the dark, you have your headlights, torches going, and it's really exciting. And then usually you make it to the top just in time for sunrise and just watch the sun come up over the snowy peaks. So that's really something you won't forget. But it is a challenging hike, and everybody needs to be quite fit and quite confident to be able to make it up to the mountain, and also with the added challenge of darkness. It's a steep hike, and sometimes it can be a little bit slippery. So it's this is certainly not something for the ones who are quite new to hiking. But you during the start of the week you will always get a bit of an idea of what Swiss mountain hiking is like, and whether you want to try this challenge. And then we'll ask you to sign up for it, usually by the previous day. So that gives you a bit of time to consider. And then at the end of the hike, when we just watch the sunrise at about 6 o'clock, then we make our way back to our chalet and tend to be back here around between 10 to 12. And after that, most of the hikers are quite tired, so they like to catch up on their sleep. But that's always scheduled to be their free day, so they're very well able to do so. Okay. And then one final thing in the program side of things, we have an Our Chalet challenge available for those who want a little bit of something extra to keep them busy during the week. So this is something that they can work on throughout the week. There are 5 elements to it. They will learn a lot about the history of Our Chalet. They will learn about Swiss culture and about wax and the World Centers. And they'll also be asked to lend a hand a little bit, do some patrol duties while they're here. And then if they manage to complete all the 5 elements, they will get a really cool badge on the last program day, a very beautiful ceremony at the final campfire. So that's definitely something for the very active ones who want a little bit of extra. And does that bring us to the end of the presentation? Yes, it does. Do we have any more questions?
We do. So back to the sunrise hike, where does that and the free day fit in most schedules? Is it at the beginning, the end, the middle?
In most of the weeks, we try to make sure that the sunrise hike or the overnight hike and the free day are in the middle of the week, just to get give everybody a little bit of a break as well. But it's a bit of a puzzle with all the different program days, and you're not able to do everything on a Sunday, for example. So this it doesn't happen in exactly all of the programs. But in the April pre-event email, we'll definitely let you know when the free day will be happening. So if you need to make any bookings or anything like that, we will have that date for your event.
Cool. Back to the days of the adventure days. If someone wanted to do the pendulum swing, do they have to pay for it in advance, or can they pay for it the day of or while they're at Our Chalet?
Yes, so they can pay for the pendulum swing at the adventure park. So they just need to make sure they have 20 Swiss francs in cash with them when they go out on the program of that day. So then they pay directly to the Alpine school guides.
Okay, what about the restaurant that it's at top of, I'm not going to say it right, Insingling Gap? Close? Maybe not. Is that included in the fee, or is that new? Is that additional?
So that's additional. All the restaurants, and if anybody wants to buy any extra snacks while they're out on the program, that would be at an extra cost. So that's another thing that might be worth bringing a little bit of cash for if somebody wants to get a hot chocolate, for example, at some point.
Okay, so we're all familiar with mixing people up when we come to guide and scouting events. Do you break up groups, or for the most part, how do the girls get to meet the other girls from other parts of the world?
For the most part, we like to keep the groups together, so we don't sort of force split groups in half. But sometimes if you come with a very big group, we may have to do that just because of the maximum numbers for each of the programs. But we want to make sure that everybody has a chance to meet girls from the different groups as well. So we will always try to pair you with different groups on different days. And then we encourage everybody getting to know each other, for example, on the bus trips by asking everyone to find a new buddy for the bus trip. So they'll have an hour to chat with somebody new each day. And then evening programs for the most part are together with all of the participants of the event. So that's a really good chance to get to know people.
Excellent. Do you have any recommendations, or how could we find information about what to do on our free day?
Yes, we actually have quite a few recommendations, and we will be putting them together in a little package. And that's something we'll also include in the pre-event email that we'll be sending out in April. So you'll hear more about those then.
And when would we know how many people we should bring swaps for?
I think the numbers are starting to be what they are going to be. So if you want to know the exact number, you can send us an email, and we will try to answer for your Swiss challenge. But generally, the numbers range from about 30 to 80 guests per program week, and then we also have about 20 staff members around at summertime as well.
And if someone goes on the night hike, do they pack their own gear, or how do you handle like sleeping and stuff like that?
For the overnight hike, yes, everybody will be carrying their own gear up to the top, but it's actually not that much. So you will pack a like a sleeping sheet from the chalet. So that's almost like a duvet cover that you sleep inside. And then at the cheesemaker's hut, they provide blankets and pillows. So you really only need to bring that extra sheet, and if you want to bring your toothbrush and you want to bring a little bit of extra food, but in general, that's not a whole lot more than you would bring on a normal day hike.
A really important question, I think, for parents is how close is the nearest hospital?
The nearest hospital is about 20 minutes away from Our Chalet, and we have an ambulance service and a fire brigade right in town, so we'll get help in just a couple of minutes if we really need it.
Okay. Let's see. I think we have a couple more. There are some questions about adult responsibilities at Our Chalet. Are there special adult expectations? And second question, what are the sleeping arrangements?
Okay, this is Tanya again. So as far as expectation of adults, we do expect that you're the discipline and watching over your group while we lead the events, or the program days and that sort of thing, free time and in between activities. You would be in charge of your group. So our staff are never in the helping out in the sleeping quarters and that sort of thing. As far as the sleeping arrangements go, each troop has very specific reservations, and so it kind of it varies so much because we have rooms that hold one person and we have rooms that hold 14 people, and so probably for each group you would need to, if you're questioning what your reservation looks like, you can send us an email and we can let you know specifically for yours what your breakdown of rooms is, because some groups may have just 2 rooms and others may have 5 different rooms to get all of their group in.
And is there staff available overnight, like if in the event that someone would get ill or something?
Yes, the staff are on site, or many of the staff are on site, and we have a phone in the lobby that you can call to get a hold of staff in the middle of the night if you need assistance to call out to a doctor or that sort of thing.
Excellent. Now we have a couple people who are participating in the mini session.
Yes.
Yeah, how is that a little bit different?
So the mini breaks, anytime there is a mini break, that means that the free day does fall in the middle of the full-sized Swiss Challenge. And so with a mini break, they would receive an adventure day, they will get a town day, and then they will either get the on-site day or a hike day. And so it just depends on which side they're on. And they will find out closer to the event in April. They'll get that information as to which of those days to prepare for their specific mini break.
Excellent. I think that there's a question that's on everyone's mind, which is what are the bathroom and shower accommodations like? I know that's something I worry about when I travel.
So the bathrooms and showers, there are male and female separate bathrooms and showers, but when we're in an if there's all women in one building, sometimes we'll switch over a men's bathroom to help out with the load. But it kind of depends which building you're in, but for the most part we have a larger bathroom in each building. You may have to go down 1 or 2 flights of stairs to get to that bathroom that would hold the showers. But then there are smaller bathrooms with 1 toilet and a sink in multiple places closer to the rooms. So for your shower, you may have to go a little farther, but there are much closer toilets.
And the water is always warm, which is fantastic.
Yes, we do have. I don't know how it happens, but the hot water seems to hold up very well. And then also the water in all of the faucets is drinkable, and so you don't need to go find a special faucet or that sort of thing to fill up your water bottle. All of the water is quite tasty and good, or actually non-tasty, I guess. It's more important.
Okay, I think we're gonna end with this question, and I think as adults, when we get ready to plan these things, we think, the day we leave, it'll be over, and then when we get to our chalet, the day we leave is one of the saddest days ever. So, how does departure day work? What are the logistics, and what time should we leave, and how many tiers are there, that sort of thing.
So we do really our big group goodbye the evening before, and so after campfire, people do most of their goodbyes because in the next morning, some groups leave before breakfast, and so you may not see them again unless you get up really early to say goodbye to them. Most groups try to leave after breakfast though, and if they don't have a flight out until late in the evening, then often they plan that as a day to go to one of the bigger cities, either the city that their airport is in, or they go to Bern along the way to do a little bit more travel. So most groups leave in the morning between 9 and 11. But we just ask that about 2 days before departure, we will start asking when people are leaving so that we can help plan luggage transports. And if you're leaving between 8 a.m. and 6 p.m., then we will help you with a luggage transport. And if you're leaving outside of those hours, the downhill, going back to the bus is pretty easy, so some groups will just roll their suitcases down. But also we can help you set up for a taxi if you would like some assistance getting there.
All right. Well, I would like to thank everyone for being here. And does anyone from Our Chalet have any final words?
Well, we're just really excited to have you. This is our first webinar. We hope you've liked it. We will be sending out a video recording, a link, so that you can watch it again or show it to parents or the girls who are planning. But we hope that your planning goes well, and do feel free to send us emails with your questions, and we can hopefully get those answered for you, because I know sometimes you have specific ones to your group.
Thank you so much for joining us, and if I may say, have a wonderful, wonderful time at Our Chalet. It will forever change your life and the lives of your girls.